Hello everyone. I haven't made a video in a long time, and that's because I've been very busy with my new job. I changed jobs this year, and for several reasons. One being some a new experience, the other being more money. The economy in Japan is in a situation where the yen is very low in value now, and unless our companies, our employers, give us more money, then we have to no choice but to switch jobs. I didn't want to switch jobs, but an opportunity came up, and it was a pretty good one. And so now I'm commuting, as you can see, from Yokohama all the way to Tokyo to an area called Kasai. And I thought for my first video, since it's been so long, I thought I would record my commute with the BMW and talk about the bike's performance on this much longer commute, and maybe talk about the view and the commute itself, the roads that I use. Right now I'm on a road called 246 or Nihonroku, which also connects to Daisan Keihin, which is the highway. I sometimes use the highway, but most of the times I'll just use regular roads because they don't cost anything. A lot of people commute by bike. In Japan, it's very, very common because you can get through traffic and you can park bikes almost anywhere without problems. And the bike itself is handling the commute pretty well. I've been doing this for a few months now. And before, my commute was around 14 kilometers per day. Going, one way 7 and 7 back. Now it's closer to 80 kilometers per day. It's about 38 kilometers one way and 38 back. If I use the highway, it's a little bit more. It's about 40, 41. So it's around 80 kilometers. The bike's range is about 100 kilometers, depending on how you ride. And I found that what affects your range the most is how fast you're going. The faster you go, the less range you get. Usually when I arrive at work, the weather also affects the range, by the way. And right now in spring, summer, I arrive at work with around 65 to 70% left if I'm not going too fast. If I keep my speed at around 60, 70 kilometers per hour, I can usually get, I can do the commute with around 30 to 40%. So 80% of the battery per day usually. And at the end of the day, when I get home, I usually have between 20 and 30% left. So the bike can manage this commute, but it is right around the bike's limit. If I had to travel any further, I would probably need to charge somewhere, even for just an hour or something. This is about the best range for this bike. It's about 100 kilometers, I would say. And you need to have a little bit of margin for error. Like, let's say you make a mistake and you take a wrong turn, which can happen when you start a new commute and you're not sure about which way to go. I've been doing this for a few months now, so my commute, I have it down pretty good now, and I know which roads to take exactly, and I know what the shortest distance is. Well, like if I take the highway, it's a little bit further. And so the bike is performing well. The battery's handling the range no problem. Like I said, in winter, it does go down quite a bit. In February, March, I was arriving at work with maybe 55%. And now in summer, I'm arriving with closer to 70%. So it's quite a big difference. I think, though, the main reason why it was like that before was because I just simply didn't know the routes very well. So, yeah. But now that I know the route much better, I don't have to use maps anymore. I just memorized it now. So, yeah. Yeah, so I talked about a lot of things on my commute, but unfortunately the audio.
1,200 yen per trip. So
Yeah.
if you were to do it twice a day, that would be like 2,400 yen a day.
I'm talking about.
And
what it costs to use the highway. And as you can see, the audio breaks up because of the wind noise. So yeah, I'm talking about basically what it would cost me to take the highway every day, which is around 1,200 yen one way, 12 to 1,400 yen one way, which is, well, it's the equivalent of paying $12 one way and another $12 back. So it's like you're spending $24 a day for your commute, which is, it's not insignificant when you're doing it every day. So which is why I do stick mostly to these local roads, which don't cost anything. But then you're stuck in traffic a lot more, and you have more traffic lights. But I found that as you can see, I'm lane splitting the whole way, and that's because that's allowed in Japan. If I couldn't lane split like this, I don't think I'd be able to commute on the bike. It would take too long. If I were to drive this road, it would take twice as long. Right now, it takes me about an hour. If I were to drive, it would take me 2 or 3 hours, depending on traffic. But yeah, not only do you have to think about the traffic itself, all the cars, but also the lights and accidents too. I've seen a lot of accidents on this road. Almost weekly, I see accidents, even minor fender benders. But, little accidents like that do slow traffic down significantly because people stop to exchange, information for insurance reasons. Even if it's a minor fender bender, people will stop for even the smallest scratch.
Yeah, I'm still on 246, which leads me to Shibuya and then onto Roppongi.
Yep, so this road, 246, will take me all the way to Shibuya, then past Shibuya into Roppongi, and then past the Imperial Palace, which is right in the center of Tokyo. And then from there, I go east and I head out towards Kasai, which is close to Disneyland and Disney Sea. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm talking here about how it's very close to Disneyland, and I can kind of see it in the distance every day when I'm riding past crossing bridges. I also get to see Skytree, which is pretty cool. It's very close to where I work, and you can see it close by, and you get a nice view from the roof of our building because we have access to the roof. Yeah, riding every day, it can be pretty tiring, especially when the weather's not good, like if it's raining. Also, when it's very cold, if you don't wear the right clothes, you're going to get, frostbite because it can get very cold riding early in the morning in winter. But yeah, I mean, this bike has grip heaters and even a seat heater, so that's really good. It keeps my hands really warm with the grip heater, especially if I put on covers, handlebar covers.
Yeah, so I'm mainly scooter too. Is that usually it's been famous for scooter?
Yeah, the audio is completely broken up, so that's why I'm just narrating this journey. So I'm close to a place called Mizunokuchi now. A lot of people in Japan will just commute by train every day. It's the safest and simplest way. And companies will usually pay for your commute expenses. The company that I'm working at now, well, they pay for most of it, but not all of it, which is a little weird. They have like a limit. So because of that limit, I decided, well, I'm just going to commute by bike then, because then I can save money, And yeah, the new job is good. It's better than my old job in that I earn more money and get a lot more time off. I start work at 9, but I finish around 4 every day. And that means I can get home by 5, even with my 1 hour commute. Yeah, I usually come in early in the morning because I like to get there early so I can, prepare for the day ahead and have a bit of quiet time because there's nobody there when I get there. Plus, there's a lot less traffic the earlier you leave. If you leave the house at 7, there's a lot less traffic than if you leave the house at 8. Like I said, I start at 9, but I do leave around 7, 7:15, 7:30 at the latest, and I usually get there by 8, 8:30 every day, and ready to go by 9. Yeah. So one good thing about riding on 246 is that up ahead, it meets up with the highway. Not this section, but a little bit further ahead, it meets up with the highway, which is covered. So on rainy days, for example, you can kind of stay under the highway and not get as wet as you would if you were just out in the open, like you are for this first section of the ride. A lot of K cars in Japan, K trucks, which are 600 cc's. As you can see, not very many EVs on the road, and I think literally I'm the only electric motorcycle on the road. I've never seen another electric bike on the road. And yeah, it's just me on my bike here. And as you get further into the city, you do start seeing more and more electric cars. You see a lot of Teslas in Japan, in Tokyo. You see a lot of Nissan Leafs, Arias, some Mercedes, BMWs, Audis, but those are all kind of luxury cars, which is why you see those in Tokyo but not in other areas. But majority of people still driving combustion cars. I have seen a lot more post office vehicles, bikes and little K trucks that are being converted to electric. So they've started using electric bikes and delivery vans, which is really good to see, and we're starting to see more and more switch towards that. It's a slow process, but it's going to happen eventually. Just not many passenger cars yet. A lot of Toyotas and Priuses, and yeah. Nissan is a Yokohama based company, so you see a lot of Nissans in Yokohama. So this is now the highway above, which I sometimes use. And yeah, if it's raining, like I can stay under this highway and stay dry, which is nice. Yeah, close to Shibuya, which is 7 kilometers away. There's not that much to see around here, but riding to work every day, you do see things that you wouldn't see as a tourist, and you see things that you wouldn't see if you were on the trains every day. So you'll see shops and things that you wouldn't see otherwise. So yeah, this section of road here, 246, is like the worst section because it's very, very busy, especially in the morning. Even at 7 a.m., it's busy. It's always busy.
So yeah, switching jobs. Good points, bad points. More money, better working hours. Bad points is the longer commute, added danger, having to commute like this every day. And yeah, it's also like a good experience, this new job. And
Yeah, as I'm saying here, the commute is the bad point of the new job, having to make this commute every day. I don't know how long I'll be doing it for at least a couple of years, maybe longer. It depends on how things go. Um, but yeah, there are some benefits is being able to get out of work a lot earlier every day, and having working less hours basically, and having a much longer summer break, winter break as well. We get much longer holidays.
you know, so a lot of jobs here, they say, oh, you have like a trial period. That's bullshit. There's no trial period.
Yeah, trial periods are not real in Japan. Yeah. Yeah, like once you have a full-time job in Japan, you basically are a full-time employee. There's no such thing as a trial period. And that's just something companies say so they can maybe get rid of you if they don't like you within that first 3 months or 6 months. But the reality is, if you know the laws here, they can't actually fire you. And it's really difficult to fire someone once they're full-time employees with a Japanese contract. So yeah, trial periods don't really hold any weight. under Japanese law, and you are, a full-time employee once you start working. Yeah.
On top of the 21 days, plus another 5 days of
Yeah, here I'm talking about how many days off I get. So we get 21 days off per year, which is basically, a month, plus 5 additional days, which are you can use anytime you want. So really, it's 26 days off a year, and then sick days, 5 sick days. So something like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. Like I said, we do get a lot more holidays, and the place where I work does have its own holidays as well as all the public holidays, national holidays that everyone has to take off. So yeah, overall, it's pretty good.
using Japanese style, Japanese politics. So I'm saying okay for that.
Yeah, the place where I work is run by foreign people. I work for foreign people. But I have a Japanese contract because we're in Japan, and yeah, that's one good thing about working for foreign people is that you don't have to worry about the politics that come with working in a Japanese office environment. You also aren't expected to work long hours every day because it's not necessary. That's just a Japanese cultural thing, having to stay in the office till your boss leaves, that kind of thing. It's so archaic. And just because your boss doesn't want to go home to his family doesn't mean you should have to stay there, because younger people do want to go home and do want to have hobbies and things like that. And it's hard to do that if you're stuck in the office doing FaceTime. You know, that's what they call it, like just basically being there and doing FaceTime at your work without really doing anything. So this post office here marks the halfway point. I'm now officially halfway to work. And it does get a little bit faster after this section here. Yeah, I think I'm talking about the bike's performance, and yeah, the torque is great. It's very quick, and that's perfect for commuting, having a quick bike like this, because you can get through traffic so fast. Most of the scooters you see are fast too. They're usually 125s, maybe 250cc scooters. My bike is probably the equivalent of a 400cc scooter in terms of power and torque, but it's very lightweight. It's small and lightweight, so it's very quick. Yeah, 0 to 60, nothing beats this little bike, not even cars, not even like fast cars. So we are now close to Shibuya, I think. Yeah, see, still 246. Oh, yeah, I'm talking about used electric cars in Japan, like Teslas, for example, Model 3s, Model Ys, Model S's. You can get a really good used Model S or Model 3 here for a good price with very low mileage. Most cars here don't do that many miles per year, and in fact, it's kilometers, so it's even less. So the average car here will do 20 to 50,000 kilometers in its life. Most people won't drive their cars that much, and because of that, buying a used car makes a lot of sense here, especially a used EV, which is much cheaper. So you can get like a Model 3 Performance with 50,000 kilometers, which is about 30,000 miles or less than that, with probably still over 90% of its battery life. Because we found that these cars don't lose their battery life that quick. It takes hundreds of thousands of miles before they start to lose a significant amount of battery life. Yeah, so you can get a car in good shape for, I don't know, let's say $20,000 to $30,000, and I think that's worth it. So yeah, my next car is probably going to be something like a Tesla.
I also see a lot of Audis and
I'm
BMWs.
talking about the different kinds of cars that I see in Tokyo.
I see a lot of expensive fancy cars.
Yeah, lots of fancy cars. You see a lot of like Maybachs and you know Well, there's a lot of in Tokyo itself, in the center of Tokyo, there are a lot of embassies and things like that. So you do see a lot of embassy cars driving around with flags and things like that, and you see like politicians and dignitaries and company CEOs and things like that being driven, chauffeured around in fancy cars. I see some Rolls Royce, Maybachs, those kinds of cars. You do see a lot of those too. I just ignore them. So yeah, after this tunnel here, we do end up in Shibuya area. Yeah, I think I'm talking about how Japan is fully dependent on imported fuel for everything. Fossil fuels, oil, coal, gas, everything is imported. Not so much coal anymore, but oil and gas is still imported. And it just blows my mind that Japan hasn't embraced EVs yet, because it would mean not being dependent on fossil fuels anymore for vehicles, right? Which is a big one. It's a big consumer of fossil fuels is vehicles. And if every vehicle in Japan was electric, we wouldn't need that much oil anymore. And if every house in Japan had solar panels on the roof, we wouldn't need, we could convert all the homes to electric. We wouldn't need gas anymore. We wouldn't be as dependent on foreign oil for power anymore. I know that recently in the news, they've been talking about firing up the nuclear plants in the next 20 years, which they definitely need to do, because we cannot continue to trust that oil is going to be cheap, because it won't. And with the yen being weak, oil is even more expensive. So gas prices are higher than ever now. And it's, I'm glad I'm not paying those prices. So it doesn't really affect me at all anymore.
and everything else being equal, I mean, it's a very simple product to produce, and that would affect the Japanese economy in a big way
Yeah,
because
I'm talking about how EVs are so much simpler to produce. It's a battery pack, it's a motor, one or two motors, and then everything else being equal in an EV, the suspension and the chassis and all that stuff. They are much cheaper, much simpler, much easier to produce, which is why you're seeing so many non EV companies like Sony, for example, or Apple considering building EVs, right? I know Apple in the end didn't go through with it, but they still decided that they were going to build one, and they went through some stages of building the car, designing it, building it. And, Sony produced a car, and now companies like Xiaomi in China are producing cars. And companies that you wouldn't think would be producing cars are now suddenly making cars, because it's easy to build an EV compared to building an combustion engine. So traditional companies that know how to build combustion engines are going to feel, this, because, their market share is going to shrink over time. And, one of the reasons Toyota and Honda haven't really embraced EVs yet is mainly because the industry around building cars is so big in Japan. Toyota doesn't actually build the cars fully themselves. They buy components from other manufacturers that they integrate into their cars. So, and because of that, they're kind of reliant on other companies building parts for them. And those companies are relying on Toyota for their business to function. So if Toyota suddenly stopped building combustion engines and focused on EVs, all those companies would basically go bankrupt, and that would affect the economy, and it would affect employment. And that's why they have to really think about how they're going to switch to EVs, how they're going to do it. Um, Obviously, they'll make new partners that build batteries, for example. They'll have new partners that build electric motors, and then Toyota will buy the motors and battery packs and assemble the cars. And that's what most manufacturers are doing. They're not directly manufacturing the batteries themselves. They're buying them from Samsung or LG or whoever makes the batteries, right? Panasonic, for example. So it would be great business for Panasonic, but terrible for companies that make the components required in combustion engines. We are in the center of Tokyo now, heading towards Roppongi. You can see Roppongi Hills in the distance. Yeah, we're under the highway this whole time, so that's kind of cool when it rains. You don't get wet. Yeah, this is the center of Tokyo, Roppongi. You can see Roppongi Hills, and you can see Tokyo Tower on the right. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. Yeah, so this area looks very different at night when everyone's out partying. During the daytime, it just looks like every other street in Tokyo, but at nighttime, this area changes quite a lot. Yeah, this almond coffee shop is a popular meeting place for couples and people who are going out. Lots of bars and clubs down the streets here. Yeah, I haven't been out here for a long time at night, so I don't really know what it's like anymore. But I imagine it hasn't changed that much.
My daughter just turned 10 in April. My son is really into soccer now, and we follow FC Barcelona.
Yeah, my daughter just turned 10. My son is 11 now, and he'll be turning 12 soon. And my son is now really into soccer, football, and we follow FC Barcelona, which is where I was born. We actually visited Spain during the holidays to see my family and just to spend the Christmas in Spain, which was nice. It was really nice going back and having food that I haven't had in years. And we also took a 3 day trip to Paris so we could see the Mona Lisa and the Louvre and things that the kids have never seen before. So yeah, instead of spending a lot of money on stuff that you don't really need, it's better to spend it on experiences and trips and experiences that you're going to remember. Stuff is nice, but once you have stuff, you can move on and try other things. You don't need to keep buying the latest iPhone every year. You know what I mean? If you have an iPhone, it'll last you for 2 or 3 or 4 years before you need a new one. So yeah, I'm just like, I'm not going to waste $1,000 a year buying a new phone. I would rather put that $1,000 towards a trip somewhere. You know what I mean? And have fun doing other things.
It's pretty much all the sites that you typically see.
Mm.
Eiffel Tower, all that kind of stuff.
Yep, I saw all that stuff in Paris. It's pretty cool.
Barcelona has its own sites.
Yeah, we went to see Camp Nou, but it's under construction now. So we just saw the ground where they're building the new stadium. We did go to the museum, the Barcelona Museum, which was cool, and we saw the trophies that they've won over the years, all the players that have played for the team. Yeah, like one thing I said when I was doing this commute is that as fast as I may be going, I'm actually not going that fast because I'm recording, so I'm kind of distracted. But there are days when I'm going faster than this, and even then, there are people who are even faster than me. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, some people are kind of reckless. So I'm kind of trying to find a good balance between going fast and being safe every day, but trying to keep my commute as short as possible. Yeah, you start seeing more Teslas in Tokyo. There's a Model S, I think. And yeah, you have to be hyper aware though when you're traveling like this, when you're commuting by bike, because people do make sudden lane changes without really looking. And you have to be hyper aware and you have to be very careful. I've seen a lot of accidents and I've seen a lot of close calls, and I've had a few close calls myself, and I've just but like I said, overall this is the best way for me to commute day to day. So now we're getting close to the Imperial Palace now, which is where the royal imperial family lives. And yeah, it's pretty cool out here. It's nice and green. Lots of people go jogging around here because there's a lot of like parks and trees and stuff. Yeah, so Tokyo was originally the city of Edo, and this was the center of Edo, where the imperial palace was. I don't know if you guys have been watching that show on Disney Plus, the one about the shogun. So yeah, I guess this is the city that he wanted to build in the show, and they did renew that show for more seasons. So I guess you'll get to see more of Edo and how it built up over time. But yeah, you can see the walls, the side of the castle here on the left that are covered in grass were originally just walls that went up. And then here are some of the gates entrance to the castle, and there's gates on all the sides here. Usually when I ride I go straight, but today to show you the castle I decided to make a left here and show you what the castle looks like a little bit closer. So yeah, you can see another entrance, and in the distance you can see the castle itself. Yeah, I remember watching a YouTube video that talked about this land around the castle here. At one time in the 80s, this whole area here was worth more than the state of California. That's not true anymore, but yeah, I think it's interesting that this one little area of land here was worth so much more. And yeah, the buildings you see in the distance are all like office buildings and maybe hotels. Very valuable land around here. But yeah, this is pretty much the center of Tokyo now.
So yeah, you can see in the background all these big buildings, office buildings. So nobody really lives in the center of Tokyo. It's
Hmm.
just offices because the land value is too high.
Yeah, nobody lives in the center of Tokyo. It's just office buildings, and you have to go a little bit further out before you find apartments because the cost of living here would be too high.
So if you ever come to Japan, this is a popular tourist destination
Yeah,
spot.
tourist destination here. Lots of tourists come here to look at the castle and walk around. Lots of people come jogging through here every day.
Have like the castle right there. And these are all just the castle grounds. It's not like
Yeah, it's a nice area here. It's very green and clean, and yeah, it's a mixture of like older and newer buildings, but everything looks nice though. Everything looks modern in a way. Yeah, squeezing through traffic makes a big difference.
Not sure what any of this stuff is, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the center of Tokyo, and it's a very rich area, expensive. Everything here is
Yeah.
super expensive.
Everything around here is going to be expensive. The land values are insane around here. And yeah, most people will commute here to work, and some people will come shopping. There's some like shopping areas around here, expensive malls, lots of like banks and corporate offices here. And then as you start moving away from the center, there's Bridgestone's head office probably. As you move away, it starts to get more residentially. Like further down this road, you'll see more like apartment looking buildings. Like some of these buildings look like apartments. Now, I recorded this video in, I think, beginning of April, May. So it was still kind of cool back then. Now that we're in June, it's a little bit warmer now. Yeah, I've just been busy. I haven't had time to kind of go over this video and narrate. Like I said, I was hoping I could just post the video right away, but then the audio just broke up completely. It just cracks up with the wind noise.
I get to see Sky Tree, which is kind of nice.
So yeah, just riding through the city here, being careful, nobody making sudden turns into me. Metro stations, more Teslas. So now that we're starting to move away from the center, now we're moving east. Yeah, you'll start to see more apartment buildings around here, and people who go, who commute into work from around here. A lot of hotels around here too.
Yeah, I don't use the brakes that much. The bike has a lot of stopping power. They,
Yeah, I don't use the brakes at all, to be honest. It's like,
the brakes won't go down so fast.
yeah,
The tires will go down.
the tire wear on this bike is supposed to be kind of not great, and I think one of the reasons is because I'm using those Diablo Rossos, which are sportier tires, I think, and they probably wear down faster. So I've decided to split this video into two halves because it's 1 hour there and 1 hour back, and I also recorded the way back. So I'll post that video at a later time. It's almost the same ride back, but it's slightly different view, I guess.
The job is going well, and yeah, I'd like to have left my previous job like that for like 9 years.
Yeah, I left my job after 9 years. My previous job, I was there for a long time, and I was very comfortable. It was close, it was comfortable, but like I said, pay just didn't go up with the economy getting worse, and with the yen being devalued, we kept saying, "Hey, our pay needs to go up," but it didn't. So I said, "All right, time for me to go." It just happens, right? Yeah, it was sad to go, but ultimately, if things aren't going to improve, then you can't stay forever.
You reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow.
Squeeze through here.
Yeah, it's hard to squeeze through trucks and cars all the time, and sometimes people do, you know, touch mirrors, which kind of annoys the drivers, and I understand it, but it's like it's unavoidable, and it's not like you're really causing a lot of damage anyway. It's just a tiny scratch. Sometimes if it's just plastic on plastic, there's not even any damage, not any noticeable damage. So yeah, once we go past this section here on the left, you'll see a nice view of Skytree, because we're very close to Skytree now. Yeah, this truck says Green Eco Project CO2, but at the end of the day, it's still a diesel truck. It's still spewing CO2 emissions. It's not really, there's nothing clean about it. It's so funny when I see things like that. It's so stupid. It's like Dieselgate with Volkswagen. They just lied, and told people that diesel was clean, and it just totally wasn't. And I knew it was bullshit all along. I remember my mom saying, "Oh, I'm going to buy a diesel car because diesel's cleaner." I'm like, "Are you sure about that?"
Nice, quite true.
So yeah, there's Skytree in the distance. Later on, you'll get a better view on the way back from a different bridge. So yeah, I always thought that Dieselgate sounded like BS to me. It was like diesel cars being cleaner just sounded like BS. It's like, how is that even possible? If anything, it's worse.
Police today.
Yeah, there's always a lot of police vehicles coming through here during the day, in the morning. I'm not sure. They're probably transporting people around, but you see them almost daily, so I'm not sure where they're going. LP gas truck there. Yeah, that's again, everything has to be imported from the Middle East and from before from Russia.
That's where people were live around here and then work in Tokyo.
Yeah, a lot of residential apartments here. I see this guy coming out like this without really looking. That kind of stuff happens daily. And so I'm getting closer to work now. It's too bad about the wind noise. There's nothing I can do about it. I've tried so many different things already. Yeah, the brakes are squeaky. I'm not sure why. I'll probably get the bike looked at during the summer break because I won't be
Yeah, I'm
commuting.
almost at work now. It's about it. I usually get to work around 8:15 every day, and it gives me. I start at 9.
Hmm.
I might record my return trip home too, just for fun. I can charge the camera at work.
I've started seeing more and more fuel cell buses around here, this area. Not the one in front, but I have seen them more and more, and I think it's good because yeah, they're electric at least. They use hydrogen fuel, which is kind of stupid because you're just trading one fuel for another. But at least it's clean, and you're not producing any CO2 emissions at the vehicle end of things. But to produce the hydrogen, you are still creating emissions, which is why I think it should really just be straight battery electric for everything. It just makes more sense. You're not wasting energy producing another fuel. You're just putting the electricity directly into the vehicle.
Money for transportation. That's one of the negatives. I guess they don't expect people to travel from so far, but that shouldn't matter, right? If you take the
Yeah,
job
I
and
am traveling from further than most of the people who work there, but I took the job. I knew what it meant to be traveling further. But like I said, I'll probably only be there for a couple of years and then find something closer to home, maybe. But we'll see. If I can find something equal to what I'm doing now but closer, then yeah, I'll definitely take it. But yeah, I mean, jobs are like that. If you find the opportunity, the chance, you take it, right? And then you worry about the details later. Because you have to be in the right place at the right time for a lot of jobs that you get throughout your life. So yeah, when I take the highway, this is where it exits.
over there on the right. And yeah, if I take the high road, I come out here and then just continue along the same road.
So yeah, pretty much
No,
it,
not
right?
that
It's
much to see around here. It's just like
there isn't that much to see around here, as I'm saying. It's just a straight road all the way to where I work. So I'll probably just put some music on in the background and just let you enjoy the view. I'll narrate the next video too, coming back from work. All right.